Welcome to the Wiley Wire. We're covering a lot today. We're going to start with politics, big race in Maine, the LA mayor race, and the governor's race, still counting votes. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk sports, NBA finals, Stanley Cup final. The Chicago Bears are moving to Hammond, Indiana. We'll talk about if that is 100% true, or there's still wiggle room for the Bears to stay in Chicago. We're also going to cover some other trending news. Welcome to the Wiley Wire. We're going to talk politics. There's a couple of big races going on. One in LA for the mayor's race, the governor's race in California, and the Senate race in Maine. First, I'm going to start with the Maine race. We are all over the map with politicians now. You know, the biggest fear for politics is how you're going to get destroyed with these lethal ads they put out that are just like the worst thing you can possibly do. They got to clean all this up. They got to get rid of this foreign money, running ads and primarying people. A lot of this is going on. But this Plattner guy just sums up where politics is at. For the last 10 years, Trump's Hitler, all this stuff. Elon Musk is Hitler because he waved at the crowd. I've even heard the Republicans say AOC is Hitler because she raised her hand and waved to the crowd. But it's more on the Republican side. Democrats mainly accusing Republicans of being Hitler. It's like their second talking point, calling somebody a racist, calling them Hitler. And it's been going on for almost 10 years now. And anytime somebody does a speech or raises their arm, it's, you're Hitler now. I actually can't stand politics. I've been involved in it, and covering it, looking at it, following it for a long time, even since I was in college. And it's just gotten worse and worse and worse. And now it's at a point where it's like anybody with half a brain cell can be a politician because you're bought and paid for and you can do whatever they tell you to do. So let's talk about this Plattner guy. There's so many things about this guy that are real, that he hasn't denied, that he said are true, that you'd automatically remove him from the race. So there's a lot of things this Plattner guy has done, you know, with relationships he had with women and bad relationships. Or, you know, women are coming out saying he was abusive and all that. That's, you know, I'm not making light of that. It's hard to confirm those. There are reports that he did call some of his ex-girlfriends and try to smooth them over. Some have called and said good things about him, others haven't. So I don't really get involved with all that. But the thing that I really can't believe is that a guy has a Nazi tattoo on his chest that he's had for 30 years or something. And the reports on it, the lying that's gone around it, I was drunk when I got it. I didn't know it was a Nazi tattoo. Then he tried to cover it up with some black ink. This is where we're at right now? He's admitted he had a bunch of drinking problems, drug issues, depression, PTSD. You know, I feel for anybody that's been in the military has PTSD and has drinking issues and drug issues from maybe what they saw. I don't know what he's seen. I'm never going to get down on somebody that's ex-military. But he said some things about ex-military that they should have died. He's not a hero, like stuff like that, which is kind of eye-opening coming from a military guy. But I'm still going to throw all that aside. The fact that we're going to elect somebody, I'm going to say we, not me, I don't live in Maine, but the people of Maine and the Democrats and the media that are all over this Nazi thing for 10 years are going to look past a Nazi tattoo on somebody's chest. That is unbelievable to me. Anybody that's ever put a Nazi tattoo on their chest, according to Democrats, are the absolute devil. And I agree with Nazism is not good by any means, but the last thing I would want is a politician representing a state in our country to have a Nazi tattoo on his chest. He should be gone, banned, done. He can live in this country and you have your own beliefs, and that's what America's all about. Maybe those beliefs have changed. It doesn't matter. He still had those beliefs and put that on his chest. So the fact that Democrats are surrounding this guy, they don't care. It's all about a Senate seat. They want to take over the Senate, and they're riding this guy out and just seeing where it can go. And what's going to happen at this point is if he wins, they're just going to replace him. They're going to take him out and replace him with somebody else. And that's the whole point of this. They're so knee-deep into this guy, and all this stuff's coming out. They probably didn't know about it, especially the Nazi tattoo, and they just were in full-fledged damage control. And just to watch some of these people on TV talk about, well, he did it when he was drunk, he did it a while ago, he doesn't believe that anymore. It's like they're sticking up. Or during a speaking event, no way, shape, or form was any of that true. And I'm not an AOC fan. I think she's bought and paid for. There's no way she won that race without someone getting involved. I'm not stupid, but I know this. She didn't raise her arm like that because she's a Nazi. She raised her arm like that because she was doing a speech. Elon Musk didn't raise his arm because he's a Nazi. He did that because he was doing a speech. I don't even know if Trump has one of those raising his arm moments where he was talking to the crowd. He may, I don't know, but they call him a Nazi before that anyways. So the word Nazi's been thrown around so much. And you have a candidate in the Democratic Party that has a Nazi tattoo on his chest, and they're still getting behind him. So that's where we're at right now. It's a shame to be in politics. This is so nuts that I can't even fathom where we're at right now. So if anybody votes for Plattner, you got to screw loose, number one. I think the guy has a screw loose already. Just hearing some of the things he said and some of the things he's done and that are factual. They're not made up. I don't get too involved in the relationship thing. I'm obviously against abuse and all that, but I haven't really seen any real evidence that he's done that. Some women have come out. I'm not believe all women by any means. I'm not. I never will be, because if it's hearsay and it's your word against theirs, it's hard to prove that. But what it can do is definitely damage a candidate. So I don't know anything about this Plattner situation with the women he's been with. I really don't care. What I do care about, though, is the Nazi tattoo in his chest. And I think everybody should care about that. That should be a big deal, a real big deal. Can you imagine if Trump had that on his chest? Can you imagine if, name a Republican they hate, Spencer Pratt had that on his chest? Steve Hilton? Can you imagine what they would do? The onslaught that would happen? But here we have a Democrat, and it's no big deal. Turn the other cheek. No worries. He's changed. He's changed his beliefs. The fact that he had those beliefs for a day, let alone 30 years. And, think about, you probably know a friend who got a tattoo and they were a little intoxicated or whatever. I don't have any tattoos, but I know buddies that have a tattoo, and they go through the process of what they're getting and what's the background behind it. There's meaning to it. A lot goes into it. And then you have some people that get drunk and get a tattoo, and everybody knows a friend they've had like that. They're probably not going to be running a state, becoming a senator, but they're out there and they're good people, and then you make mistakes. But a Nazi tattoo? And you're drunk? I don't know. A little too much for me. Not the Democrats, though. But moving on to this California political climate, there's something definitely sinister going on. No doubt about it. There's so much exodus happening in California, LA. I mean, I don't know how Spencer Pratt's not winning in a landslide in LA. Nobody can be happy with Karen Bass's job she's doing at all. And then the second person, the third person's in the race, worked for Karen Bass. So you're getting like pretty much the same person if Spencer Pratt doesn't win. But according to new updated voting results, Spencer Pratt has moved to third. And they're not even close to done finishing this race up, counting the votes. So here you have a city in the United States of America that takes days and days and days to count the votes. We've gotten used to this. That 2020 election was done on purpose. Wait to find out the results. You have all overnight counting the votes. Votes are still coming in. All it did was prep you to get prepared for what's to come. Now this is kind of the new norm. That's why the SAVE Act has to pass. Voter ID, paper ballots, mail-in ballots are only allowed if you're sick, out of the country, or you're military, physically can't get there due to a disability. That's it. Voting's got to be counted and done the night of the election. That's the way you're going to get trust back in America, regardless if your candidate wins or not. But back to this California situation. Now you have Steve Hilton in the governor's race. He's hanging on to that second place spot so he can run in November to try to become the next Republican governor of California, which would be huge for the state, be huge for the people of California, tax-wise, bringing economy back to California, cleaning up homelessness, all the things that most Californians want. But let's get down to why I think it's sinister. Number one, there already is a federal investigation going on into the California elections as we speak. California and LA refuse to turn over their voter rolls. So it's like you're getting investigated and you don't turn over the evidence. You refuse to. It's like, why would you not turn over the evidence? It's just absolutely unbelievable. It all comes down to cheating. It all comes down to fake mail-in ballots that don't match the voter rolls. They're waiting to see what the results are. What do they need? What do they need to find to get Spencer Pratt out? What do they need to find to get Steve Hilton out? That's what they're doing. That's why they're taking this time. We're still counting. We're still counting. They may be counting, but I doubt they're counting. They're finding is what they're doing. That's why they want mail-in ballots. That's why they want no ID to vote. That's why they don't turn in their voter rolls. It's all for cheating. There's just no doubt about it. Any honest person, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, Independent, American citizen, believes in democracy and what our country is built on, would want the SAVE Act to pass. So your candidate has the best chance to win. Every vote's counted. Every vote goes to the right person. There's no machine glitches and all that. Software's not run by another country. So this has got to get fixed. And it's a shame in California what's going on. Whether the results are all true, all right, the federal investigation is done and they find there is no fraud and it just took forever to count the votes. It shouldn't take forever to count the votes. It just shouldn't. California is a huge state. You know, there's states like Florida, obviously a smaller state. They get their elections done the night of. Back in the day, before all this technology, we were getting the elections done night of. But yeah, this is absolute debacle in California.
If you want to throw it back to an old school vibe, then download the Starstream radio app. We play the best rock from 1970 to now. Enjoy 4 different stations. No skipping, just sit back and listen. Download the Starstream radio app today. We are also available on many other platforms, including iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and more.
So I'm going to quickly do an Iran update. The Pentagon released a report this weekend that the number one country against our national security is Israel. Well, it completely goes against everything that you're hearing in the news, us helping Israel and this and that. And now Israel is the number one country that threatens our national security. And I saw the report. I had to read it like 3 times. Was this a typo? Was this an error? Is this real? Fact check it. Listen, there's definitely a lot of things right now going on behind the scenes. You had the clash between Trump and Netanyahu, where he called him a crazy MFer. Before you know it, you got Iran and Israel shooting rockets again. Ceasefire doesn't look to be over. And this is where we're at. You know, it's at the point where you hear about a deal and then this happens. So apparently the reports are now that the ceasefire will be back in place and a deal is going to be done. But we've been hearing for a while now. So I don't have inside baseball on it. I'm just going off what's being reported. And that's definitely very concerning. But I also want to continue to talk about Israel and the United States for a minute. This is a strange thing going on here. It's called Section 224, and it's a law that's a bill that's trying to be passed. I'm going to roll a clip after kind of explaining a little more, but it basically ties together Israel and the United States, all their surveillance, AI technology, military technology, spying technology, all together. And there's going to be basically a Israeli czar that can basically do whatever he wants. And it's basically our national security. So maybe that's why the Pentagon put that out. I don't know, but this bill is out there, and Benjamin Netanyahu actually wrote a piece of it. He actually had some of the literature in it. So this is where we're at right now. I'm not against Israel's people. I'm against another foreign country's government meshing with ours. Definitely not for that. I don't care what country it is. We're the United States of America. We can have partners. Israel can be our partner, but to actually have law being written by another country of that type of influence is not what I would want as an American. But I'm going to roll this clip. It kind of explains a little more Section 224, and it's pretty crazy just to listen to it. I don't know why the Pentagon would say Israel is our number one threat to national security, but yet we have a bill about to be possibly passed. It's not passed yet, that we're going to intermingle with spying and AI and rocket technology and pretty much everything. And another thing I didn't know is there's a law that we can't spy on Israel, but Israel spies on us all the time. I didn't know that. So things are really at a strange spot right now. I feel the tension between the Trump administration and Netanyahu. It's definitely in the air. There's no doubt about it. When Trump leaked that to Axios about calling Netanyahu an MFer, crazy MFer, kept you out of jail, he leaked that to Axios. And this going on now with the ceasefire not happening for a little bit here. So I'm going to continue to follow this, but I'm going to roll the clip talking about Section 224.
Are tired of the arrogance and insolence of Prime Minister Netanyahu telling America what we should do. The entire country of Israel has a GDP that is less than a single town in my district. Yet somehow Netanyahu thinks he can tell the American people what we should do. The person who's most upset with him right now is President Donald Trump. And everyone in America, whether you're a Republican, an independent, or a Democrat, says that we need to tell Netanyahu that America calls the shots, not the prime minister of any other country. They want less cooperation and blank checks to Israel, not more. Only the United States Congress would dream up at this moment, let's actually do more for Israel, not less. And that's what Section 2024 does. It's a pretty simple thing. Should we do more for Israel than we already do, or should we do less? If you think we should do more for Israel, you should be against my amendment. If you think we should do less for Israel at the time that he's arrogantly telling Donald Trump what to do, then you should be for my amendment. Now, let me just be clear. Mr. Netanyahu actually wrote to a member of Congress to put this Section 224 into the bill. He says, I know that aid is unpopular in America. I know that even Republicans don't want aid. So here's what you got to do. Quote, let's create a new framework. This is Netanyahu telling us what we should do. A new framework of joint defense cooperation, co-development, co-production, and mutual investment in areas including advanced missile defense, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and next-generation military platforms. Why? Because he doesn't want Congress to vote on the aid. He just wants it fused in the bill. Last I checked, Netanyahu doesn't have a seat on this committee, Mr. Chairman. We need to reject an amendment which his language is coming directly from the Israeli Prime Minister. And we ought to have any aid have a vote of the American people. I am for Team America. I am for the interests of this country. And I believe that when Donald Trump ran, he ran America first. That includes American interests against any foreign country. We should have American sovereignty and make it clear that we strike 224. If we want to give aid to Israel, if we want to sell them weapons, that should be a vote for the entire Congress.
The Wiley Wire, America's 250 Music Top 10.
Welcome to our first sports segment of America's 250. We're going to go over the top 10 American golfers of all time. How this is basically ranked is wins, of course, major wins, and influence on the game. And at number 10, one of the best short game players of all time, Phil Mickelson. Everyone remembers that lefty swing and the battles he had of Tiger Woods back in the day. 6 major championships, over 45 PGA Tour victories. And he's one of the most popular golfers ever. Phil Mickelson at number 10. Number 9, Tom Watson. Legendary, 8 major championships, 5 open wins, and he defined an era with Nicklaus. Those two went at it for a long time. So Tom Watson's at number 9. Number 8, Byron Nelson, 52 victories and a record 11 consecutive PGA Tour wins in 1945. At number 7, Walter Hagen, 11 major championships, and he elevated professional golfers into a different category of celebrity. Walter Hagen, you still see his shirts around at golf stores. He's at number 7. Number 6, absolute legend, great American, Arnold Palmer, the king, 7 major championships, and he really helped golf become a television sport. He was just known for being fun to watch and had a lot to do with developing the game of golf, getting more youngsters in it. You still see his courses all over. The Arnold Palmer lemonade and iced tea drink. I mean, this guy is just an American icon. Arnold Palmer at number 6. All right, let's get to number 5. Sam Snead, 82 PGA Tour victories. 82. And he's been just competitive across the decades. I mean, anybody that has 82 PGA Tour victories, that's up there. So he's at number 5. Number 4, Ben Hogan, 9 majors. He returned from a near fatal car accident, and he's considered one of the greatest ball strikers of all time. At number 3, Bobby Jones, 30, won the Grand Slam, and he's the co-founder of Augusta National Golf Club. And he retired at 28 years old, and he's still considered a legend and one of the greats of all time. Bobby Jones. And I might get some heat for this, but number 2, Jack Nicklaus. 18 major championships, an all-time record, 73 PGA Tour wins, and he definitely is the benchmark for greatness in golf. I got him at number 2. And number 1, everybody knows it now, Tiger Woods. He's 3 short on majors. He's got 15 major championships, 82 PGA Tour wins. He ties the record, and he's the most dominant golfer, in my opinion, in the history of golf. Those car accidents, he's not done yet. I never count Tiger out, but he's getting up there now, and I don't see him winning another major, and I don't see him. I just don't see it. He can maybe get a PGA Tour victory after rehabbing and all that, but I just don't see it. I root for him, but Tiger Woods at number 1, and why I have him at number 1, so everybody knows, not taking any away from Jack Nicklaus, but what Tiger Woods did for golf is just, it's Jordan-esque, like what Jordan did for basketball. It's hard to not put him number 1. Some of the most iconic golf moments in the history of golf involve Tiger Woods. He's just one of those people. No, I didn't see Jack Nicklaus play at his peak, and I'm definitely going off total wins. You know, Tiger Woods has 9 more PGA wins than him, 3 less majors, but I got Tiger Woods at number 1. On Friday's episode, we'll be back to music, doing our top 10 American music bands, artists of all time from the 1970s on Friday. We'll be back with our next segment.
Expect anything different?
Boy, this is some guts right here.
Uh-oh. That looked like it might have went right.
This is right on line.
what a shot.
Does it get any better than this, guys? Johnny, that's better than most.
How about him?
That is better than most. Better than most.
Here it comes. Oh, my goodness. In your life have you seen anything like that?
So the UFC will hold an event to celebrate America's 250 at the White House. I'm so excited about this event. I'm a pretty big UFC fan. I'm not like a UFC guru, but I like watching a lot of the events when I can. They're fun to watch. I've never watched one where I wasn't enjoying it, so I'm excited. And I think everybody else should be too, whether for Trump, against Trump, or Democrat, Republican, middle, it doesn't really matter. It's a sporting event to celebrate America's 250. And Teddy Roosevelt used to have boxing matches at the White House. He competed in most of them, I think, but it's a good thing. And it's not going to be something that's done every year. It's a special moment for a special time in our country, 250 years. So I'm all for it. The lineup looks great. I think it's going to be a great event, and anybody that's against it, I think you should move on to your next gripe. There's going to be plenty out there for you to get upset about. So I'm for this UFC fight at the White House. I think it's going to be awesome, and I'm looking forward to watching it this weekend. And Dana White, at the same time, you know, he said it straight. He said it just like I did. 250 years, you got to celebrate. Doesn't matter what side you're on, left or right. It's about bringing people together for a sporting event at the White House. So I think it's awesome, and I'm looking forward to watching it.
With Robinson, oh man, it hits him on the visor, but that pushes right into your face. McNabb injured into the locker room.
I'm going to talk NBA Finals, and New York Knicks have just blown my expectations. I didn't think they'd get one game in San Antonio. I thought maybe, like I said before, they would get game 3, which is going to be played tonight, and then the Spurs would just take them 5 games. That's what I thought. But the Spurs are not playing like the Spurs I was watching against the Thunder. Wemby is making big-time mistakes with the basketball, and the turnovers are just awful. And they got to use him better. I mean, he's great. He's a great shooter, but he's 7'5". Not seeing a lot of dunks out of him, a lot of jump shots. And then they finally claw back. I mean, the Spurs had a chance to make this a series. Could have been 1-1. They get the ball. They have possession. They have the momentum. Castle's going, calm down when Wemby gets the ball. And Wemby looks at him, starts dribbling, waits till Castle turns his head, and then passes the ball. It was a pretty slow developing play, too. Like, there's been times where I've been playing basketball, you pass it to someone right when they're about to turn their head, but this was all in front of them. Castle says, no, calm down, and then Wemby starts dribbling fast, and then looks like he panics and throws a ill-advised pass to Castle, who's not even looking at him anymore. And even if Castle was looking at him, Brunson was right there. You're putting Castle in a tough spot to catch that ball, and Brunson's right there. It was just a bad play. The Spurs really blew that game. I think they blew the series at this point. I had Spurs in 7 going into game 2. I had Spurs in 5. Then I changed it to Spurs in 7. thinking they would take a game in San Antonio at home, and they didn't. Now I'm like, Knicks can sweep them. It's at that point, Knicks can sweep them. Brunson's a bull. And I don't know how Wemby can't alter some of his shots, being as big as he is, but he's not altering shots. That was my call, that Brunson would have to shoot unbelievable. And he's played great. I mean, he had 30 points, and he's played great. He's done what he's supposed to do. And Karl Anthony Towns has played solid basketball. He's outplaying Wemby. He's more physical than Wemby. And obviously Wemby's thinner, but he's also a lot taller. I just didn't see this coming. I didn't think that the Spurs would play this bad. But we'll see what happens in Game 3. I don't see the Spurs winning a game at this point. I don't think they're going to take any. And if they win a game at all, it's going to be tonight. Maybe the anticipation of playing at home for the Knicks. A lot of, I don't know, maybe the vibes will be just too much on the handle. They won't play their game. They'll play a little too excited. That's possible. I've seen that happen in the playoffs. But there's no way the Spurs are going to beat the Knicks at this point. I just don't see it. I'm completely doing a 180 on this. And I was completely wrong about it as well. And I never was not wanting the Knicks to win. I wasn't like, I hope the Knicks lose. I was just looking at the teams and looking how the Spurs have been playing, how the Knicks have been playing, who they were playing, the challenges they've had, a young team growing up, and they look like deer in headlights once the finals started. So that's my take on the NBA Finals. Now I'm going to talk about hockey and the Vegas Knights. That's one of the picks I can say is coming to fruition for sure. They almost blew a 4-goal lead on Saturday night. Mitch Marner had a hat trick in one period. 4 points in a period. Never been done before. I don't think it's ever been done before. Maybe once in the Stanley Cup Finals. And they had that game locked up. I thought there was no chance. And then boom, boom, boom. The Hurricane just scored like 3 goals in 30 seconds. It was nuts. And I was sitting around with a bunch of Carolina guys after my hockey game watching it, and I was just in disbelief. And then they tied it to go to overtime. They play a whole overtime. Nobody scores. And it ends on a slap shot off the boards, off the goalie's skate, and in for Vegas to win the game. And all the momentum was, at that point, back to the Hurricane because Vegas was on their heels. But again, they found a way to win. And the other night, the overtime winner, Game 2, they lost their top penalty killer, got a puck right to the face. That's hockey. You watching that? I'll play a clip of that. Puck right to the face. And this dude plays the next night. I actually had a day off, then he played 2 days later with a cage on. But that puck hit him going about 90 miles an hour. Square in the face. He ruptured his nose. But they lost their top penalty killer. And Hurricane scored 2 goals because of that. And took that game. But I thought the series was completely over. Done. Once the Vegas Knights went up 4-0 in Game 3. But Hurricane got to feel pretty good about themselves. They came all the way back, and they got the momentum. It just was a rough goal to lose on. So they can't be hanging their heads at this point. They got to feel pretty confident that they came back. So I'm expecting Game 4 to be more of a nail-biter with less defensive lapses. More of a sound hockey game. That's my opinion. I still got Vegas in 6 games. That's still my call. And one last thing I want to talk about in sports before we go. to our next segment. The Chicago Bears are pretty much officially moving to Hammond, Indiana. This is an absolute joke. How this happened absolutely blows my mind. Now you got Pritzker calling out Brandon Johnson, and it's just like, you two idiots allowed this to happen. They're blaming it on the rich McCaskies. You're a rich billionaire too. Chicago Bears belong in Chicago. They don't belong in Hammond. And there's people on the Bears panel that are going for this for tax reasons. And I mean, money obviously makes sports teams go, businesses go. I get it. But at the same time, your fan base wants that team in Chicago. You're going against your entire fan base, putting that team in Hammond. So the fact that politicians can't make a deal for the Chicago Bears, beautiful lakefront, get a new stadium, is absolutely beyond me. These are my personal opinions. I think the city of Chicago is in some financial trouble. I know that they are unable to do it by raising the taxes, and people in Chicago should not have their taxes raised. They should have their taxes lowered. It's terrible, the tax situation in Illinois and in Chicago. Where all that money is going, who knows? But I've heard that Chicago has some financial problems right now. And I don't think they have the money to even help the Bears stay in Chicago. That's what I think it really comes down to. You know, obviously a little greed on the Bears' part, but at the same time, nothing's being proposed to them that isn't even close to what Hammond's proposing to them. And I know Mayor Daley, if he was the mayor, no doubt about it, I said it before, I say it again, the Bears would not be leaving to go to Hammond. And the city would not be in the situation it's in. That's what happens. I've seen a lot of dumb Chicago voters running around praising Brandon Johnson like he was some icon. Instagram posts, some girls from Indiana and guys from Ohio that don't even live in Chicago, just had their ID there for a little while, all moved out. Vote for Brandon Johnson and all this nonsense. They don't even live there. They lived there at the time, but they were gone. It's a shame. And the only hope I have, there are certain things that happen in the course of history. Minnesota Vikings is a good example of this, where they were similar to the Bears, kind of put out a report they were moving, and Minneapolis came back around and were able to get them a stadium. Obviously, they're downtown Minneapolis now. So I still have hope. I don't think it's a done deal. I think it's real close to being a done deal. I still think Chicago can come in and make this right. I'd still be shocked to see it happen, Bears and Hammond. I'm hanging on to this 5% chance that the Bears can still rework a deal last minute and stay out of Hammond, Indiana. So I had to get behind the mic. This episode came out at 6 a.m. today, but last night's Spurs game was unreal. I pre-recorded the episode, and I didn't see that coming. So I'm basically going to take my hands off any predictions of this series because it's unpredictable at this point. The way the Spurs came in to Madison Square Garden and defeated the Knicks, and that atmosphere, you can go back and say when they beat the Thunder at home, that was a huge win, trust me. But that type of atmosphere, going to New York, facing all those fans and just the whole atmosphere, and to pull out a victory like that was unbelievably impressive. And I think they shook some of their woes off that was a devastating loss. Like I talked about early in this episode, that was a devastating loss. To be down 0-2 and lose the way you lost game 2, a lot of teams would fold after that, or at least give it a pretty good effort and lose. But they just knocked the Knicks out, and this is a series again. So I can't predict anymore. I made one prediction. I was wrong. My second prediction was Spurs in 7. I'm just going to stick with that. Can't make 3 predictions on one series. And also, if you think about how the Spurs came out, the only way I thought the Spurs would have a chance is if they came out aggressive, got the Knicks back a little on their heels. The Knicks, again, haven't played in an environment like that. This is the first NBA Finals since early 1970s when Phil Jackson was on the Knicks. So I sensed a little bit of hesitation by the Knicks, just finding themselves a little bit, but the Spurs just played really well and allowed the Knicks to squander that game. So this is going to be a series. I don't see the Spurs beating the Knicks 2 games in a row at home, but I got to stick with what I had. Spurs in 7, even though I'm not very comfortable with that pick.
The Wiley Wire segment where Brandon asks, "What the fuck is this?"
All right, my WTF, Eric Swalwell. If you don't know him, he's the government official who got caught with the Chinese spy Fang Fang. He had to drop out of the governor's race a while back, a long time ago actually, due to rape charges and multiple people claiming harassment that worked for him. And there's a lot of sexting messages. Yeah, he resigned from his position in government and running for California. That Eric Swalwell. And it happened a long time ago, but he's still on the ballot for the governor's race in California. 18,000 people voted for him. It wasn't like this scandal happened a week ago or 2 weeks ago or a month ago. It was longer than that. And he got 18,000 votes, maybe more at this point, because counting votes takes weeks to count the votes. But there's either 18,000 stupid people out there or more, terrible voters that wasted their time to go to the polls and vote for him, or mailed in their ballot, which could be the case, for Eric Swalwell. And I look at it like this. It's kind of like in a presidential race where you got the independent candidate, and then you have the Democratic candidate, the Republican candidate, and the independent has a choice to completely withdraw from the race. He would rather have the Republican win, take votes from the Democrat candidate, so the Republican candidate wins. I look at it this way. Why is he still on the ballot if he's out of the race? Number one, you can't suspend your campaign and stay on the ballot. I think that should be illegal, because you're going to get stupid people to vote for you, even though you're not in the race anymore. But I also look at it from the scenario I just drew up a minute ago. It leaves more room for voter fraud. You can take 50,000 people, maybe call it 10,000 were idiots, really voted for him, and the other ones just mail in fake ballots or fake nonsense. People that don't even vote. That's why they won't turn in the voter rolls. So you can just throw him a bunch of votes, just take votes away from somebody else. So it's all a scam, but that's my WTF. I wonder how many of these people actually went to the precinct and voted for Eric Swalwell, not knowing any of this happened. It was all over the news. Just because you knew his name, you vote for him. I hope that people take their time when they vote. It's an important decision to make, but every single day I lose faith in voting and all that, especially in all the stuff that goes around. But this just made me laugh. Who knows how many he's going to get when it's all said and done. But last time I checked, he had 18,000 votes. He's not even in the race. He's been out of the race for months. But that's my WTF. We'll be back with the wrap. Stacey King, one of the most iconic color commentators in NBA history. I've watched him play when I was a kid, winning 3 championships with the Bulls. Also, as an announcer, I mean, the lines this guy had, just the humor, the excitement. He was one of the best and very underrated, I'll have to say, in the grand scheme of things. Now, I don't know if he ever got offered the big-time TNT panel roles, but he would have been one of the best on the panel. I think he just likes Chicago. He's been there since he became a rookie, number 1 pick, came to the Bulls, won 3 titles with Michael Jordan, and just was a Chicagoan ever since. And he's going to be definitely missed. He kind of revolutionized how you do color commentating. He was just so much fun to watch. And in a city where you have so many great announcers from, Harry Carey was one of those announcers that people never forget. Steve Stone was one of those guys. You remember the Cubs, you remember Harry Carey, Steve Stone. And when you remember the Bulls announcers, you're going to remember Stacey King and Johnny Red Kerr. He is one of the best to ever do it. And Hot Sauce, Jimmy Buckets, you can name them all. And just how much fun they had, especially when the team was losing. The team was losing for so many of the years he was there. And he still made it fun to watch. And he's definitely going to be missed. Rest in peace, Stacey King. Thanks for watching the Wiley Wire. Like us, share us, follow us at all platforms at the Wiley Wire. On Friday, we'll be back with our next episode, and our America's 250 will be the 1970s top 10 greatest American artists. Thanks for staying wired. We'll see you on Friday.
The Wiley Wire dives into sports, music, politics, health, and trending topics for entertainment, info, and education. Listener discretion advised. May include mature themes, explicit language, controversial views, or sensitive content. Not suitable for under 18 or all audiences. Parents, please supervise. All opinions from hosts, guests, and contributors are personal and don't reflect our official views. Information isn't guaranteed to be accurate. Do your own research and consult qualified professionals.